Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Barber Shop. I was just sharing the show. Going to be with me in a second. I like to share the show every time we run one. It's like Cece. It's like right on the bottom. It's like as soon as I pop it open. So share to a group, share it, boom, share it. See what else I can share it to. I think a couple of folks like to see our show in those groups, so I'm going to share them real quick. Let's see, and I'm also going to share it just like with my peeps, Now they're getting rid, Cece, I don't know if you knew this, but they're getting rid of the, what's it called? They're getting rid of the watch party on Facebook, which is kind of a big deal because I enjoy the watch party. It helps me, come watch me live. It helps me to, watch with my friends. So that kind of stinks. By the way, if you don't know who I'm talking to, Cece's down below, making sure everything runs smoothly. And, I want to share, Cece and I, we always just have great emails back and forth. And, she sent me one that I really needed this week to hear about, working with me. And I just want to say publicly that working on Going Solo Network is without a doubt, one of the highlights of my week. Or my bye week, my other week. I crack open a cold one, a little club soda, get to talk to everybody about communication, dating, that kind of fun stuff. I just want to thank Cece for the opportunity to do that. The funny thing is, and we'll get into, I didn't even tell you the title of the show yet. The funny thing is, I'm still single, I'm still dating, I'm still meeting folks. And, people are like, what's your show on? I'm like, I do a radio show on dating. I feel like they're laughing at me. Like, this guy sucks at dating. Like, he's terrible. Why is he doing a show? I think I'm all right. I went to something yesterday I'll tell you about in a second that would be a cool date spot. So today's show, we're going to talk about faith and relationships, how to bring up faith, the differences, the similarities. When you find someone of your similar faith, how do you work with that? When you find someone of different faiths, that kind of thing. And, this is definitely not something I'm an expert in. So, talk about people laughing at me when I say I have a dating show. We're all just learning, right? So before we start the show, speaking of faith, I continue to donate to a former person in my life, very special person in my life who could use your support. If you're looking for somewhere to donate, please send me a note and we will go ahead and send you the link. She could definitely use some prayers as well. So please just say some prayers. Say prayers for everybody out there. Honestly, pray. We're getting out of COVID. I think a lot of people are relieved. A lot of folks are excited. And I want to say this with caution and with due respect. Just be careful. Like the Roaring 20s, a lot of people died, and we're in the 20s again. So just be careful, say a prayer, chill. So tonight we're going to talk about faith and relationships. And I want to talk a bit about, I like to bring up a movie, so we're going to start with a movie. I want to talk a bit about, the differences, the similarities, when to bring them up. But I also want to talk about, I made a joke about, people think I'm funny when I say that I'm a good dater. I like to consider myself someone who really does care. I'm always trying to find a new and interesting place to go if I go on a date. I'm always trying to find. I have conversations about consent very early on. Somebody once said to me, they said, what the hottest thing that you ever did was? And I said, what was the hottest thing I ever did? And they said, you blatantly asked for my consent, on a date, you blatantly asked for it. It was an intimate time and you blatantly asked for my consent. And I was like, well, yeah, I'd rather get kicked out of the room than get put in you know what I mean? Like what the alternative is, or just upset somebody, in a way that is not cool. So, I'm always trying to find new and interesting ways to spice up a relationship or spice up a date. And so yesterday I went to this really cool place, and they're not paying me to say this, so maybe you should if you hear me say it, but went to a networking event at a place called Speed Vegas. And it got me thinking about all the cool dates that we should be going on instead of just going out and getting dinner it's like, the 5 restaurants I go to were laughing. I've been in Vegas for 2 years now. They're like, all right, you've got another date, This place, Speed Vegas, you can rent a motor car. You can rent a supercar. You can also drive in a monster truck. You can't drive it. The supercars you can drive, like Lamborghini, Corvette, Ferrari, drive it. The monster truck they drive because you need like a special license to drive it. You can drive a tank. So like I'm ready. Like I'm ready for that date. Like I'm ready to go on that date. Like honestly, and here's the cool part. I already know about it. So like when somebody's like, hey, you want to go on a date? I'm like, got the perfect spot. We're gonna do something cool, and they're gonna be like, oh my God, he just thought of it. It was up here the whole time. So I'm always trying to think of cool and interesting things to do. There are a lot of different ways in which we want to get to know someone, right? And I find dinner or like a movie's the worst, right? A movie's like terrible. You never get to talk to the people. I'm not a drinker, so going out for drinks to me is like I went out for drinks when I first got to Vegas, and I met this woman, and it stinks because I think we were just both having a bad day. She was very pretty, and I don't know. I got there 2 or 3 minutes late, and then I don't know what it was. I'm late perpetually, and she said, I was like, oh, what are you drinking? She goes, I don't drink. I go, me either. And out for a drink. I'm like, Coke? She's like, Coke. So we went, and that's not cocaine. It's just a Coca-Cola. So we got a Coke and we hung out. But one thing that you need to learn about, in my opinion, is somebody's spirituality and their faith. So I always start off with a couple of movies. Today I couldn't decide on the 2 movies that I wanted to bring up because neither of them encompass both faith and religion, or faith and dating. One of my favorite movies. This is kind of encompasses spirituality. And Cece, you probably know this movie. It's Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield, and he breaks up with his wife. He gets divorced from his wife, and he's like, "What happened? I broke up with Vanessa. Oh, I feel like I just got paroled." Then he goes, I knew it wasn't going to work with Vanessa. I'm an earth sign. She's a water sign. Together we made mud. Oh, and so I thought that was funny because these are compatibility things that you need to know right off the bat. People call them red flags, and I don't love the idea of calling something a red flag. It implies that other person is the danger. And, oftentimes I read a meme today that I really appreciated. Somebody said, I've been toxic and I've been on the receiving end of toxicity, and neither was the right thing. And I am accountable for what I did, and I need them to be accountable for what they did. And I thought that was cool. So, he talks about Rodney Dangerfield, them not matching. But I thought it was also interesting because it's astrology, right? And astrology is kind of spiritual in nature. So getting on that path. The second movie that is just one of my favorite movies in general is Blue Chips. And if you've ever seen Blue Chips, Nick Nolte is a basketball coach, and he's trying to get all these top stars to come to his school. It's a made-up school because there's a scandal that went on in the movie, and so they weren't going to associate a real university with it, right? But Nick Nolte's like kind of like a Bobby Knight mixed with a couple other folks, and he's visiting these kids' homes, these 17-year-old seniors in high school, and he's getting these kids, and every city that he goes to, he claims to be the religion of the kid, or like the most popular religion in that city. So I think the first one is, he goes to Chicago, and the kid is going to a Catholic school. He's in a Catholic high school, and he gets real low, and he's talking to the mom, and he's like, he's like, Miss McCrae, I applaud you for sending your child to a Catholic school. I was raised Catholic as well. And he tries to get real vulnerable, and she goes, I'm not. I just wanted him to get a good education. So there's one, right? Then the second one is he goes and he meets this kid, Ricky Rowe in like Kentucky or Indiana, and the father's like, I want you to take good care of my son. He's like, well, I was raised Baptist, and he's like, First Baptist or Southern Baptist? And he goes, well, First Baptist, of course. Now, I need to look that up. I think there was an implication of racism there. I think First Baptist might be a newer Southern Baptist. I don't remember. I think Southern Baptist might be people of color. I don't remember. There was something negative about that he felt about that, being Southern Baptist, or maybe it was their practices. But somebody told me that like Southern Baptist is, more in that direction. There's First Baptist, of course. So he's like trying to, He's trying to hang out with that group. Then he meets Shaquille O'Neal's character. Oh shoot, I can't remember his name. And they're down in Louisiana, and they're walking past the church, and it's a Pentecostal church. And Pentecostal churches, if you don't know, they are like loud, they're vibrant, they're like, and they're singing and dancing. And he goes, "What kind of church is this?" And he goes, "Pentecostal." "Pentecostal, heck, I grew up Pentecostal." And he jumped in there and he's clapping. First of all, you're not going to ask what kind of church it is if you know Pentecostal, right? So just like a funny movie where he's he's trying to make that connection with different faiths. I want to talk a bit about kind of some of my personal experiences, and then I've got some websites pulled up. We're going to talk about the times in which you should bring up faith, the times in which you shouldn't, the times in which interfaith works, the times in which it doesn't. Right? Here's what I'll say. The most generic way I can put this. And Cece knows this about me, and it's something that I've really, my faith is something that I have gone, I don't want to say back and forth with. I have lost faith in my life, and I have refound faith in my life. I'm at a stage in my life where I hope I never lose it again, and I don't think I will. I found my Savior. I found God again. It happened around the time of my attacking, when I was attacked online. And I will say that my faith truly saved my life, truly. And I mean that in the kind of the worst way you could mean it and the best way you can mean it. So I do have a bit of a hard time with folks who challenge my faith. You can challenge faith and religion all you want. I have no issue with that. You want to be agnostic, you want to be what's the other one? Agnostic or really? Can't think of the word. Agnostic and like doing a show on face and like write these words down. I want to say eccentric, but it's not eccentric. Agnostic, I don't remember. But if you don't believe in a higher power, I understand that. There are examples of reasons why you may not. They do say that intelligence is correlated with atheism. That's what it is. Intelligence is correlated with atheism, meaning that the smarter you are, the less you believe in a higher power. And then that's correlation. It's not. I didn't make that up. I'm not telling you you're stupid if you're religious. I am religious, and challenge me on how intelligent I am. I just recently found out I have ADHD, and the doctors basically told me that I'm like mental level intelligence, because he's like, you couldn't have gotten a PhD otherwise. So I am a faithful person. So, but they do say there's a correlation between intelligence and atheism, because the more you understand of the world, the more you question, right? Like you look for scientific reasons. Okay, I understand that. But hear me on this one. There's also a relationship between faith and happiness. Well, you could say ignorance is bliss, right? We don't ask the questions, and that's okay. But, when you have this belief that there is something other than you, right? It makes everything better. And I'm only speaking from my experiences. I can't speak to others. I can tell you that I have been both a faithful person, and I have been a person that did not have faith. And I can tell you that my life was significantly improved when my faith was restored, renewed, and strongest. So you can challenge your faith all you want. You could say that you're agnostic, atheist. You could say that there is no God. That's fine. Challenging my faith is going to be a problem. And so in my relationships with most people, I look for folks who either have a strong base of faith, or, don't challenge it. Or, some folks in my life do have a strong faith base or spirituality and don't call it that. I want to get into that a little bit before we take a break, and we'll jump into some other ideas. I belong to a couple of professional groups, some fraternities as well. And there's one specifically that says, look, we don't care what you call your faith as long as you believe in a higher power. And to me, I don't know if Cece's going to kick me off the air for this, because I know she's Christian. I'm Christian as well. I don't really care what you call it. And I firmly believe, look, we didn't all in various parts of the world just magically come up with the same type of monotheistic God. Before the wars were fought, there were images of God in whoever you, God, Jehovah, whatever you want to, Yahweh, whatever you want to call it, right? And I'm not even going to say him, whatever you want to call it, him, he, she, the universe, the karma, the space, whatever. There are images of that being, of that force all over the planet that predates cultural mixing, right? You cannot tell me that stuff is not exist. You can't, right? That we didn't all come up with this, that we all came up with this random thought, right? Now, challenge me, that's fine. But more importantly, a lot of folks don't necessarily call it God, faith, religion, Jesus Christ, whatever, but they say karma. If you say karma, if you say the universe had something in store for you, if you say it boomerangs back, what do you think that is? I don't care what you call it. That's the same thing, dude. You're saying that your flesh, your bone, your chemical makeup, your atoms are made of the same stuff that other chemical atoms are made up of. And together we have a thing that we do when we move in circles, and there's patterns and things, and it gets pushed back and back on and that kind of stuff. Like Avatar, the movie. You ever see the movie Avatar, right? They're connected to the plants, to the animals. Everything is connected with these like DNA fiber optic, things, right? It's the same thing. So whether you call it, I don't care if it's Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I don't care if it's Mormonism. I don't care if it's God. I don't care if it's right. Jessica says right. Thank you, Jessica. I don't care if you're Jewish, so it's Old Testament, New Testament. I don't care if you're Buddhist. I don't care if you're Muslim. I don't care. Look, I've had people say, "How do you believe in faith? How do you believe in God?" And go to tarot readings, right? That level, right? I'm all about that too. That stuff's karma, dude, right? And Christians will tend to disagree with that, right? It's the stuff you're putting out into the world, and that stuff's gonna come back to you. Look, I'll be honest with you. You've watched my show enough, hopefully, to know a little bit about me. I put bad stuff into the planet. I put bad stuff into the universe. And guess what? The universe said, we're gonna teach you a lesson. Okay? Now, I wasn't a person of faith at that point. You know what? I believed at that point God was trying to teach me a lesson. You put bad stuff into me, I'm gonna put bad stuff into you, right? And I say he when I reference God, because to me, I grew up with a he, but I believe it's a different type of being. I've also had situations where great things have happened that I was putting good things out, but I had nothing to do with the outcome, right? So I'll testify for a second, and then we'll take a break. I'll be honest about this. My ex-wife and I are no longer together, and that's fine. And there isn't a day that goes by that I'm not influenced by her. And I'm sorry that we're not together. When I met her, I was at a bar, and there was no way it wasn't a club or organization that I was involved with at my university, at Siena College. It wasn't. We didn't pick that bar in advance. My brand new friends that I barely knew. We were moving in together the next year, and I was just meeting these guys. They were friends of friends. They picked the bar. It was a bar I very rarely went to. She didn't go there that often either. Let me tell you, I swear to God, as God is my witness, when I saw that woman, that was one of the times that my faith was renewed. I was going to a Catholic college, but I wasn't going to church as much. And I saw this she was like an angel. I saw her. She was one of the most beautiful women still to this day that I've ever seen. And I saw her, and I remember it was like the sky opened up. I swear. It's like the sky opened up. I was inside though, but like I could see the sky past the roof. And I remember I got speaking to God for a second. It all happened in a second. And I remember saying to God, there is no way I did any of this. You put this person in this room to dance across the bar from me so that I would have to go over to her and say hello to her. To that point, I was 19. And for a good solid 10 or so years, because I didn't grow up in a very religious household. My mother passed when I was very young. My dad didn't, for various reasons. We didn't go to church as much. We were not happy that God took my mom. And so for a long time, I thought to myself, you know, um, like everything I'm going to do in my life is because of me, right? Forget this whole God thing. I make this happen. I open the doors. I walk through them, right? And for a long time that seemed to work. I did good stuff happened. I did bad stuff happened, right? Let me tell you something. Nothing I did put that woman in that room with me. That was divine intervention. That was the most beautiful soul I had ever met and probably still have met to this point, was put in that room to teach me how to love, and to teach me how to love her, how to love myself, and how to love my God. And so I don't care what you call it. I don't care who believe, what you believe in. If you believe that at any given point, some of your decisions are not made by you, or that there's a path that you are on that you sometimes don't have the capacity to change, guess what? You are a person of faith. If you have ever crossed yourself, wished upon a star, wished at 11:11, played a lottery ticket of your favorite number because it flashed across the screen, you are a person of faith. So that's what I think. Now, we've spent a good 20 minutes talking about my faith and my beliefs. We're going to come back after the break. We're going to talk about a few more funny stories, but I want to talk a little bit about, I got to slow that down. I want to talk a little bit about some of the articles I brought about interfaith, bringing up faith, in a relationship, how that all kind of works, and putting it all together. You are watching The Barbershop. My name is Dr. Christopher Salute. Did I even say that today? Did I even get the arrogant Dr. Christopher Salute out? I'm Dr. Christopher Salute. You're watching The Barbershop. This is WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio. And thank you so much for watching with us. We're going to take a short break. If this is your first time, there's usually some commercials that play in the background. If you're listening on iHeartRadio or something like that, they insert some as well. We'll be back in a second, and we'll see you soon. Thanks. Sorry. And we're back. Sorry, I was just sharing the show a little bit. I hope we got some watchers today. I was telling Cece before the show, I felt like this was going to be one of my weaker shows. I feel like I'm sharing quite a bit. We're learning. I love it. You are coming back to WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio. I'm your host of The Barbershop, Dr. Christopher Salute. We are talking tonight about faith and relationships, the movement of faith, faith, the understanding of faith, the connection of faith, interfaith, when to bring faith up, all the faith. We might have to do another show, I feel like, because I feel like I went on a rant a bit about faith. I apologize, but not really, because y'all need to hear that. It's important, So that was when I met my ex-wife, that was really my, that was my testament. That was my test. I can testify that I absolutely spoke to God in that moment. So super important. So for me, finding someone of faith is fairly important in my relationship. And I know Cece's a person of faith as well. I believe Roulette is as well. And it's like when you meet folks who share a belief of faith with you, and Jessica, who commented as well, I know that she has a strong faith as well. It's like when you meet people who have that strong sense of faith, it's like, here's the thing. So many folks on this planet like believe in a higher power, and yet we don't talk about it. So when you do meet someone who shares your belief system of faith, it's like you want to hold on to that person, and it's like you're so excited. But more people than not do hold that belief. You just have to be a little bit more, I think, open about it. We're going to talk about when to bring that up. So, I did some Googling a bit before the show, and I always like to tell you like what my first search comes up with. My first search actually came up with the secret ingredient to great relationships, faith in relationships, how faith improves relationships. These are all when you're in a relationship. But let's be real. These are all like religious websites, right? They're going to, of course, talk to you about how your faith is going to improve your relationship, that kind of stuff, right? What they're not going to do is talk about, the challenges that faith bring into a relationship. Now, maybe they do. And I've heard that at church as well, right? And I know a couple of folks who have interfaith relationships. One of my best friend, he and his wife come from different faiths, right? So, it's not just which holidays do we pay attention to? That's the least of your problems, right? There are various belief systems that these different faiths bring up, and to bring up faith to somebody who doesn't have that faith or doesn't believe they have that faith, that's a huge concern that you need to really start to flesh out, because I want a child, right? Like I definitely want a child for sure. And it doesn't matter to me if I adopt or give birth to a child. I want to bring someone up in this world, to give them more than just my genes. I want to give them my wisdom and what wisdom I have. I want to give them my heart and my soul and my kindness, and I want to give them my intelligence. I want to teach them and train them in sports and do all these great things. And one of the things that I want to give them is my faith. Now, a lot of people say, well, you should let a child choose their own faith. I'm all for choosing your own faith when you're of the age to do it. But here's what's going to happen. If you're not educated on faith from early on, you don't even know that that's an option, and you don't understand the power that it has. I'm not a toxic Christian. I'm not the kind of person who brainwashed. I'm super liberal. To me, faith is about understanding that there are certain times in your life when you just got to be like, I'm done. I've done what I can do. I'm going to let God take over. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what faith is all about for me. So this first website, my first Google search is just all about like really, all about, how faith is wonderful and that kind of stuff. Now, the second one that I want to talk about is 12 ways to tell your date about your relationship with God. Jessica says, yes, awesome. I don't know which yes that was for, but yes to whatever you're saying yes to. I appreciate you. And thanks for coming on, Jessica. I miss you. Let's hang out soon. This first website, this is Deseret News. Is this a religious site? Probably. Deseret, church news. Okay, well, it's fine. That's okay. 12 ways to tell your date about your relationship with God. I liked this one. I thought it was cool. First of all, it says find a date online. There are a ton of different websites that you can go on, like JDate, Christian Mingle, Christian Singles, that kind of stuff. Now, I don't necessarily need to go on Christian Mingle to find somebody who shares my faith or shares a faith. I don't. And I'll date, I don't care, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, spiritual, whatever. You believe in astrological science? That's cool too. Like whatever, karma. That's fine. But they're saying, go online. I do agree, go online, because I mean, what are you going to do? Like walk around, like you're going to walk around the bar with like your cross out? You know what I mean? I mean, you could meet someone at church. That's cool, or temple. I'm down for that. They say ask questions. I'm all about asking questions. This is my favorite one, without a doubt. This is my favorite of the 12. Say you are not an expert. I did not know this until I read the article. There are more than 4,200 religions in this world right now, including, they say there's like 15 that you've never even heard of, and there's a website that you can click on. Okay, so tell people you're not an expert, right? You're not even an expert on your religion, right? So like you're definitely not an expert on faith. Let people know about that. Ask about their family history, right? Talk about your college, and if you went to a faith college. These are ways to bring up your faith, right? Bring up topical religious issues when the time is right, right? You could talk about movies that have to do with faith. You can ask questions about where they shop. Talk about their favorite authors, right? Ask about Christian music. I'll tell you what. I had a funny conversation with somebody who, oh my God, this girl, I didn't get to go on a date with her, but she was stunning. When I tell you she was stunning, and we were vibing and it was cool. And we both liked Dermot Kennedy, the singer. Now, I thought Dermot Kennedy was a Christian singer because he sings some Christian songs, and he's kind of not characterized as. So like when she said she's all about Dermot Kennedy, I'm like, me too, Christian, let's go. And then she wasn't. And we wound up not working out for other reasons. She said she wasn't ready to go on a date. And it sucked because she was a very pretty girl. But the Christian thing I thought was really funny. She was like an atheist. She just liked this guy's music. And then they say to ask about future plans and holidays. They also say see what they order, see if they're like ordering kosher. I think that's bogus. But these are different ways in which we can start to bring up the conversation of faith early. What I like about this article is that they're bringing it up in a way that is low pressure, right? What I don't love is that they're bringing it up in a way that's a little manipulative, right? Here's the thing. It's one of my first things I talk about. I just want to know what I'm in for. If you're not a person of faith, then I'm probably going to answer with, well, then we can go out and maybe we can have some fun and maybe we can do, whatever you want to do. I don't know if I see long-term here unless you've got some spirituality behind your sleeve that I don't know about. It's kind of important to me, or that I will say, will your lack of spirituality, I won't say get in the way, but will it interfere with me wanting to educate our child on, on my beliefs, and at least opening them up to faith. And again, I don't care if my child becomes Jewish, Muslim. I don't care what they could be polytheistic, honestly, as long as you have an understanding that there's another force in this universe that guides us, that we become one with when we die. That's cool with me, So that is a question I'm going to ask. So I'm not going to see if it says see if they prefer kosher free, see if they're Mormon, they may not drink alcohol. I'm not going to be sneaky like that. I'm going to be like, yo, faith is, and I'll throw it out there like, oh, what are you doing on Sunday? I'm going to church. Okay, like, cool. Make sure we have that. You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to hide it. Like, what's the point of not bringing that up earlier and seeing if it works with someone? The other ones I do like though, because I'll bring up movies that have faith in them. One of my favorite movies is Leap of Faith. If you've ever seen Leap of Faith, it's about a pastor who's not a real pastor. It's Steve Martin. He's a con artist, and it's just a great movie about that. The other movie I love is called Defending Your Life. It's about the afterlife. Albert Brooks and Meryl Streep, if you could believe that couple, and they fall in love in the afterlife. But one of them has to get sent back to Earth, and the other one gets to go stay in heaven. And it's really great movie. I'll bring up those movies not because I want to talk about faith, but because they're my favorite movies. They're two of my favorite movies, and so I'll learn a lot about somebody. They'll be like, oh, so you believe in the afterlife? You know what I mean? Like they'll ask that question, and so I know. Well, obviously you don't. Like let's have the conversation, right? And then let's have it. And I'm okay with having that debate. I'm okay with having that conversation too. We had a really healthy debate. Me and a couple of the guys on Saturday night. We went out. It was guys' night with steak and cigars. Although I didn't get to smoke my cigar. We went to a bar. We tried to go to a cigar bar, and it was packed. And they were like, "Oh, I know of this bar down the road." Now I don't drink, but maybe I had one drink that night. It's the first time I've had a drink since February, beginning of February. I don't drink because I'm not like I was never an alcoholic. I barely drank when I did drink, but I'm not a good drinker. So in the mornings, I'm like trying to eat like one burrito for like the whole day. Like that's all I can accomplish. So, we went to the bar. I had one drink. We were just kind of talking. We were arguing about the European Union. I swear to God, for like 3-4 hours until finally I was like, folks, boys, I'm out. I'm going home. Like argue away, But so I'm good. But I'm good with the debate. So that's cool as long as we're respectful and cool about it. We don't get up and trash each other. Like that's cool. Let's talk about it. So those are the 12 ways to tell your date about your relationship with God. I say that's cool. I also say, bro, just tell them, tell them that you have a relationship with God, because you know what, you'll be pleasantly surprised with a lot of other with folks be like, oh, me too. You know what I mean? Or they're going to be like, dude, that's not my thing. All right, cool. Well, are we friends? Do you want to get a cup of coffee? Like, I could be your friend, but I'm probably not going to start a family with you, unless one of us, yields a little bit, unless there's true love there. And if there's true love there, I'm going to argue that true love is a product of my faith. So good luck telling me you're not a person of faith, I do. I think when you fall in love with someone to that level of just beautiful, chemical, celestial connection that cannot be explained. I mean, it cannot be explained. I don't care how much chocolate you think you're eating or whatever the other serotonin is in your brain. Like, don't care. I firmly believe that there's a force in this universe that helps us to fall in love and that helps us to find our soulmate, right? That's a soul. It's not just an organ. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm all about. So I'm gonna debate that, and so if you choose to fall in love with me, understand we're gonna have that conversation. Like, if you believe in love, which is a metaphysical thing, you probably do have some understanding of faith, right? You just don't, you don't call it that, and that's cool too. So I'm just all about, I'll say it right off the bat. That's my thing. I do like some of those ideas. They'll bring up movies and stuff like that so that you can have those conversations with folks early on. I do think, and I do think the earlier the better. I don't know that you want to wait, like telling someone that you don't eat onions, that's something you can hold off on. Telling someone that you might have a weird kink, that's something you can hold off on because you're not intimate yet. If it's core to your being, then you should tell someone, tell someone, A, you shouldn't be afraid of it. And B, that's the right thing to do, right? Like, you don't want to mislead somebody. So then they go into this other article, 7 ways to make interfaith relationships work. This I really like. This is from Psych Central, which is like, who would have thought Psych Central? But here we are. Number 1, face the issues. Biggest problem facing interfaith couples is denying the differences actually exist. I'm going to counter that with yes, for sure. The differences are out there. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to counter that with, you would be surprised how many similarities that most of our faiths have. At the core, at the essence of being faithful, how many similarities. They all have a code of conduct. They're all high integrity, those types of things. 2, they say clarify your cultural code. I think that's important. I think that's more important than the differences is your cultural code, right? Whether you drink, whether you eat kosher, whether you fast for Ramadan, like all these different things. So my big thing during Lent is I really try to stay keto because it's just a refresh for my body. And I also try to eat no meat on Friday, which is really challenging because I don't eat bread. So I do eat a lot of fish. What do I do? Sushi Fridays, man. Like for 40 days, sushi every Friday. And if I miss one, I try to give my, I'll take 2 or 3 more after Lent. So I still do it. I'm still doing it right now. And I need to explain that to somebody. Like if somebody's like, oh, you want to try this beef? Yikes. I eat fish on Fridays. My ex-wife used to eat pizza every Friday. They used to eat no meat every single Friday. That was their thing. And then during Lent, they were a little bit even more strict. So, that was something that she shared with me. And I was like, back then I was eating bread because I wasn't, I didn't mess up my body as badly as I did now. And I was like, pizza every Friday, sign me up. You don't have to tell me twice, right? Number 3, they say clarify your identity. Many interfaith couples will start negotiating what religion they want their kids to be, for instance, without having a clear idea of their own identity. Yeah. So I think, really clarify who you are, what your belief system is, what you're flexible on, right? For example, I'm a huge fan of giving up meat during Lent, but I also understand the history of it. The history of it, to be quite honest, like 8 of the 12 apostles were fishermen. I'm not going to say fisher people because they were men. They were fishermen, and the fishing industry was a huge donor to the Catholic Church. Well, when the fishing industry went south, the Catholic Church said, we'll make everyone eat fish for 40 days. Back then it was 40 days, not every Friday. Do I do that because I want to promote eating fish? No, I do that because it's the contract that I've made with myself and with my God that every Friday I want to just do something for him. You know what I mean? It's the same reason that I do charity work on during Lent. It's the same reason that I make myself go to church on Fridays or Sundays, or at least watch Mass during COVID, because giving up of my time is important. It's my donation of myself. It's my sacrifice to my God, right? So I don't really care about that. So you don't want to eat fish? Don't eat fish. I'm eating fish because that's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? You don't want to say 7 Hail Marys when you sin? I don't care. I don't go to confession, right? My confession is every day when I pray. My confession is every minute when I make a mistake and I stop for a second and go, that was messed up. I ought to stop and pray to God, not to apologize, but to ask him for the strength to not do that again, because I do screw up, right? So you have to ask for that, not for that apology, not for that forgiveness, sure, but to ask for the strength to learn, right? It says number 4, practice unconditional experimentation. That I love. It goes back to that flexibility, right? Attending church or synagogue with your partner, I'll tell you right now, I grew up Catholic, okay? And I did mention that we weren't super religious, right? So I grew up Catholic, but like not a strong Catholicism. Went to a couple of Catholic schools. I went to Catholic bachelor's degree, master's degree, Siena College and Molloy College. And that's at Siena is where I really refound my faith, right? Franciscan, really my style. Like I said, I met my ex-wife there, and it was one of the strongest connections I've ever had to God. The second strongest connection I ever had to God was when this all happened a couple of years ago. I really had to find my faith. Now, I moved out here to Las Vegas, and there are a ton of Catholic churches. However, because of the diversity in Southern Nevada, a lot of your, not most, but a lot of your Catholic churches also have a heavy Latina influence, which is fine. I don't care about that at all. But at a lot of the churches near me, half the sermons are in Spanish. My Spanish is not that good. So to go for an hour and listen to church, which my attention span is anyway, to listen to it in Spanish would be miserable. So it's hard for me to find a church. Now, I found a Franciscan church, which I love, all the way down near Henderson. It's St. Francis de Paul. It's a great church. I loved it. But it's a drive. It's like 35 minutes each way. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot. In Vegas, that's a lot. Vegas moves quickly. You don't want to be in the car for 35 minutes. I know, but I was doing it. Then I met this beautiful woman who I dated for a little bit here in Vegas, and we're still friends. And she is just, when I say her smile, like, can literally refuel the sun if it had to, like, that is her. And she brought me to Faith Lutheran, and because she's Lutheran, and Lutheran is similar enough to Catholicism. And we went a couple times to Faith Lutheran, and I've still gone. I've gone after she has left because she's a traveling nurse. So she went to a new city, and I was very sad. But I've gone to Faith Lutheran since then. Now, Lutheran is not Catholicism. It's probably the closest Protestant religion to Catholicism because it branched right off Catholicism, but it's not. But it doesn't matter. Like, I experimented with that faith, and gosh, did I love it. I loved the warmth. I loved the community. It was just a beautiful, beautiful place. There were things that I didn't understand, like why weren't there church pews? Why weren't we kneeling and stuff like that? To be quite honest, I don't like kneeling in church anyway. That hurts my knees, dude. I liked going to Faith Lutheran. It was fun. They had technology. They had video screens up so we could read the prayers. It was dope. It was a really great. It was a great experience, and I still do it. So a lot of fun. I watch a church online called Revive Life at Revive. It's also not Catholic. It's kind of it's I don't know if it's Lutheran. I don't know what it is, but it's super diverse. It's really cool. It's a really good church to watch. So like I'm cool with it, and I would have never thought that unless I really started to get into these other types of faith, started to listening to Christian music and watching Christian videos and that kind of stuff. I love sharing your histories with each other. Again, I think sharing those histories are going to force you to understand one another and understand that your faiths are way more linked than you think, right? Consider taking a course. I like that, but you may not have the bandwidth for that. I certainly don't. View therapy as a preventative. That's taking it a lot. I mean, if you need it, you need it for sure. I think 6 and 7 are a little extreme. I think you can get to where you need to go without intervention, without a course. I think if you remember at the core of who you are, that your faith means that you're a person who's gentle, kind, understanding, pure. You're not going to hate, you're going to accept, right? And so that's what I think. So today we went over faith in general, interfaith relationships, when to bring up your faith, how to bring up your faith, and the differences and similarities that we all have with regard to faith. Now, I call mine God, I call mine Christianity. That may not be what you call yours. And I say the words karma, I say the word universe, I say tarot, I get tarot readings. Doesn't matter. In my opinion, this is just my opinion, there is something around us, out there, up there, under us. I don't care what you say. There's something. That something helps to guide us. It helps to give us a conscience that we wouldn't normally have. It helps us be better human beings. That is my opinion, and I'm not forcing it on anybody. That's what I think. And I want to find somebody who has that, and I don't care what they call theirs either. And I'm not going to be shy about my faith and my spirituality and the core of my being and the essence that it brings to my soul. Because you know what? It has made me the, I think, pretty cool person that I am. And it has made me the loving, gentle, sometimes soul that I wanted to be. And I'm glad about that. And there's no reason to hide that. And there's no reason to manipulate and try to find a sneaky way to bring that up. Bring it up. And that goes for anything that you're proud of. If you're LGBTQ, if you're a person of color, if your family had a troubled history, if you grew up in foster care, anything about you that makes you who you are, that you are proud of, whether it be overcoming something or whether it be something that molded you in a positive way, I don't care. Bring that up, because that's who you are. You think I shy away from the fact that I've been completely destroyed on the internet and I was a complete and utter ass for a little bit? You think I shy away from that? You think I don't tell people that right off the bat? I bring it up like an STD, man. For one of the first things I tell people, if we're going to be involved, I need you to know that this is what happened to me, and I need you to know how that I made some mistakes, and even though I wasn't the person that they said I was, and I wasn't the best, and that's who I am, and I found God, and I'm pretty happy with my life, and I made some mistakes, and I wish I didn't, but here we are. I bring that up all the time, and it's the core of who I am. So bottom line on this one is, normally I waver, I change my mind. I'm not changing my mind on this one. If you've got something that you're proud of, that makes up your being, that makes up your soul, that makes up your energy, tell people about it. Be proud of it. And when you're ready to find that fit, when you're ready to find who you are, the person that you say that to is going to be like, cool, me too. And that's going to be that. I want to thank you so much for coming on and watching the Barbershop today. This is WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Sloot. This is the Barbershop, where we talk about men's issues. We talk about everything from faith to interracial relationships to entrepreneurship to anything you could possibly think of. This is part of Be Bold Wednesdays, part of WGSN Network Going Solo Radio. And I just want to thank you for being here. That was the Barbershop. Cut.